pro-cannabis media.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of News Dabs, our weekly look at the news of the week in cannabis. I'm Jimmy Young reporting for the Pro-Cannabis Media Group and ProCannabisMedia.com. Our lead story is a historic vote in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C., where they passed a safe banking law that will open the door to banks for the cannabis industry. The score of that vote had to be over two-thirds majority, and it passed 321 to 103. That bill now heads to the Republican-controlled Senate before the president can sign it into law. Stay tuned for more stories about how cannabis is playing a role in our nation's capital politics. Back here in Massachusetts, the city of Cambridge is flexing its muscle by shutting down Sierra Naturals in that city for not communicating their change of ownership to the city council. Now, we knew that here at NewsDab, so maybe Sarah should just forward our reports. Anyway, our pursuit of information and education about cannabis takes us this week to the Caribbean nation of Jamaica. It was the 4th annual CANEX Jamaica in Montego Bay. Check it out. This international conference featured some of the biggest names in the cannabis industry. I actually had a chance to meet and talk with many of them for the In the Weeds podcast with yours truly, coming up in the next few weeks that'll be released by Pro-Cannabis Media. Now, those interviews also included one with the father of the cannabis industry from California, the one and only Steve D'Angelo, who is also now the founder of the Last Prisoner Project. The legendary ex-CEO of Canopy Growth, Bruce Linton, Nyembe McIntosh, the daughter of the late great Peter Tosh, Dr. Uma Dhanabalan, one of the premier cannabis experts in the world, the so-called first man, the first Rastafarian I've had a chance to talk to, Perry Antleman, CEO of CBD Medic, a sponsor of CANEX, and now one of Rob Gronkowski's besties since Perry just came back from a trip to Israel with the one and only Gronk. All of those will be released by Pro-Cannabis Media over the next few weeks, including one with Douglas Gordon, the organizer of CANEX Jamaica.
Our goal is to be world class. I go after the leaders in the industry. And, as Bruce Linton just said on stage, he's like, this guy is so persistent. And that's really what it is. I'm persistent. I believe in what we're doing. And I believe that Jamaica deserves the very best in the world to be here. And we want to have a platform where, people from the region who are participating, can be seen as experts and at that standard with everybody else who comes down. So we're very pleased with it.
There were only a few dozen exhibitors in the conference center, but the real draw of this show was the access to the dream team of speakers and dignitaries who sat in on the panels. Jamaica has a very special place in this new world of weed now that the country has decriminalized cannabis and is starting to regulate its growth and export. That means dealing with the Rastafarians who have been the keeper of the plant for generations. Now the Rastas just want to make sure they get their fair share from a government that has barely tolerated their existence forever.
Really unsure, why are we so determined, even under everything that the government is trying to do to stop us? We held on to this plant. And it's really because of the plant. The plant and what the plant share with us whenever we are in relating with the plant has been so valuable that no law could actually stop us from having that relationship. So it's really the voice of the plant that keeps us connected to the plant. It's the message of the plant, what it does for us as an individual. It gives us sovereignty.
There's a bridge that needs to be built, and I think what's so important in this industry is to appreciate that, the essence, the spirit, the energy that's around the plant is primary. That's the first thing. If you're getting into this because you think it's some get-rich-quick opportunity, it's not going to last, because fundamentally, to me anyway, the plant is an equalizer. And so here's a whole demographic of people who understand the energy of the plant. They may not understand business in the conventional terms, but they understand the energy. And so we will have a better industry that can infuse that authentic understanding of the plant with the knowledge and the skill sets and make it viable and sustainable as an industry.
To me, I think what the opportunity in Jamaica is own it. Really fulfill the brand expectation, make phenomenal products, have a story of a whole island coming healthy because of it, and that's an economic thing that becomes a social thing. And so I think Jamaica has a chance to be materially different than any other place on the planet.
Next week, that one-on-one with Bruce Linton will be released as a special In the Weeds, so subscribe, follow Pro-Cannabis Media. Meanwhile, back here in Massachusetts, despite Governor Baker's 4-month ban on vaporizers, there was still plenty of adult-use cannabis sold in the Bay State last week, including its first $2 million day on September 20th. The total for the week, according to the public documents prepared by the Cannabis Control Commission, was $10,899,000 plus a few dollars, bringing the statewide total since the market began to $316 million sold. And finally today, the fall is a great time in New England to visit your favorite local farm to pick apples. But what if I told you about a farm in Maine that allows you to pick your own hemp? That's right, Hemp Fields in Sheepscott General Farm in Whitfield, Maine, that's Whitefield, Maine, is opening their rows of hemp to anyone with a pair of shears and a bag. Remember, this is the non-intoxicating cannabis sativa plant that is growing legally in the state of Maine since the Farm Bill passed last year. Pounds are selling for either $35 or $25 a pound for that product that produces the CBD magic. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. For the Pro Cannabis Media Group and ProCannabisMedia.com, I'm Jimmy Young reporting. See you at NECANN Portland this weekend, and here's a few other cannabis-friendly events in the Boston area coming up in the next few weeks.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.
News Dabs is a weekly production of the Pro Cannabis Media Group. It is supported by Alternative Compassion Services in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. ACS is a leading provider of medicinal cannabis at 693 Elm Street in Bridgewater.